Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Irena Kyd on the Divas That Care Network. And today I have with me the beautiful, wonderful Jean Brannon. Hello, Jean.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And I just want the audience to know who you are, so I'll quickly introduce you. So we
Okay.
have with us the licensed acupuncturist and author, Jean Brannon. And whether it's working with patients or in the written word, she likes to use metaphysical and Eastern mysticism concepts as tools to help people become more self-empowered. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're saying your dream is to give ancient wisdom and new thought ideas a voice in popular culture. And currently, she's working on the second chakra book in the Ancient Ways to Wellness series from her Metro Atlanta-based home, which you share. You say with your dogs, Rosie and Connell. Welcome, Jean. And yes, I'd like to initially just start asking you, what does that mean, Ancient Ways to Wellness series?
So when we were looking at how to frame the types of energetic work that I do and the types of support that I offer people, it just felt like that was the right language to talk about bringing back things that we already know inherently. We've kind of gotten away from instinct and intuition, but the ancient ways are really about all of us learning how to tune in within. None of the answers are really out there somewhere. And all of the work that I do with someone, whether I'm working with someone with acupuncture or other modalities that I work with in the treatment room, or if I'm working with the written word, in essence, what I'm doing is doing my best to be a clear channel so that I can be a mirror to someone of what's inside, maybe places that they've been afraid to go, maybe they've been cut off from their own inner knowings. And sometimes that's a kind of scary place for people to go if they've been disconnected for a long time. So what I try to do is create safe and sacred space and be a committed listener for somebody. And I do that whether I'm in, the middle of writing a fiction book or a nonfiction book. The energetic intention is the same, to allow someone to unfold in safely and to feel it's really okay to explore some of these deeper concepts.
So you mentioned you have different modalities that you use with clients or patients.
Yes.
Is acupuncture more, in your practice, more geared toward the physical?
Well, so for me, and how acupuncturists are typically trained, we don't separate mind and body. And in essence, what I do my best to do is meet somebody wherever they're at when they come in. So I get people, and I've had people over the years, let's say they want just to work on shoulder pain. They don't really want to go into why they're having shoulder pain or maybe the energetic connection behind it or the emotional constraint that's behind it. We don't have to go there. And I don't have to dig into somebody's story for this medicine to be able to help. Conversely, I get a lot of people that come to me when they're at the crossroads, when it's me or the surgeon's knife. It's a time in life when things are really falling apart, when a person just has reached the breaking point, where life as it was has become so burdensome that they're almost willing to try anything. And maybe a friend or someone they work with or a boss or whoever has suggested, you know what, I had a good experience with acupuncture, so you might want to try that. So I do find that I get a lot of people on that end of the spectrum as well. And so whether somebody's coming to me because they want to really find out what emotional baggage they may still be dragging around, or if they just want to get out of their low back pain, I'm okay with it because it's not about me. It's really about me holding a mirror for them so they can unfold in whatever way their journey is calling them to do. So in
Would the
essence,
treatments, I'm sorry to interrupt, would the treatments
no.
be the same? If somebody comes and says, I have lower back pain, do you also already in your head correlate, oh, okay, lower back pain, that's probably because of some emotional issue, because they also, you know, maybe they tell you about it. I'm not sure how this works exactly in your practice. Would the treatment be different? Or do you also kind of infuse your acupuncture? I've been acupunctured before. I had needles in me, but I don't think they went as far as saying, okay, we'll add Reiki to that or something.
So to answer your question, it really depends on the situation. I can perhaps choose the same acupuncture points to needle, whether someone's coming in just for physical pain, or if they're looking to unearth some blockages, some emotional issues that maybe they haven't fully processed in the past. The acupuncture prescription may be the same, but what I allow in either case is if someone feels the need to share something with me, I hold that sacred space. Some people, given that opportunity, even if they just came in for back pain, and I've had this happen a lot, they really didn't intend to get into it, but sometimes just by offering the opportunity, and if I can make somebody feel safe, then a lot of times they'll just say something. Maybe there was trauma or abuse or something horrible that happened in childhood, and that may just come out, and then they'll say, I have no idea why I said that. It doesn't have to be that way. I have plenty of people that come in that they say low back pain. I have my own emotional, intuitive way of tuning in to what I perceive is going on, and I treat them accordingly. My intention is not to bring up their story, you know, because it's really not about the story. It's about how can we move beyond the story so they're not trapped in that. But also just to effect a change such that by the time they get off of the treatment table, if they came in with low back pain, I want them to get off the table and be able to say, you know what, I notice a difference. That builds confidence and trust in the medicine. And more often than not, that person will schedule to come back. Now, it's not for me about getting people to become reliant on me. Usually at the beginning, if somebody's in severe pain, for example, usually they're going to need a follow-up treatment. But I tend to not try to book people, oh, you know, you need to come in for 6 treatments. That's not how I work, because truly at every given moment, a person is evolving and changing. I tend to give people homework. So deep breathing exercises, or making sure they're drinking enough water, or certain stretches, or working with a foam roller, or whatever it is. And so I'll write all of that down for them. They go home and they have homework. And then usually if it's a pain situation, I will say, well, how about if you come back in 7 to 10 days, we can reevaluate, and I can see, are these tools helpful for you? If they aren't, I've got a whole bunch of other tools, but these are the tools I think we should try first to effect the greatest change. Same thing though with emotional issues. A lot of times what is manifesting in both of these situations are similar things. In low back pain, a lot of times people are just very shallow breathers. And the people that are caught up emotionally, they're basically shallow breathers as well. And so one of the first things I almost always do with somebody is check in with them and see, are you really able to take a deep breath? If you're not, let me work with you so you can do that, because I do believe that is still the very best tool someone can have to work with on a daily basis. And we have to breathe 24/7, so why not turn that into a useful tool? So in essence, treatments can be very similar, whether someone is coming in for the physical or the emotional or spiritual, but they don't have to be. It's really about me doing my best to meet them wherever they're at, and I work with them how I'm guided to work with them.
So if I understand you correctly, in essence, it is you're treating the whole person where you don't make a difference or not separating mind from body like Western medicine people, we physicians were taught to do.
Yes.
And you're taking intuitive action as well without having to go into the story, which I think is extremely powerful, not to have to relive that thing and retrap that thing, because we know now with the latest neuroscience that this gets all engraved in the brain. And now this is why I'm feeling like acupuncture and acupressure and all these energetic works are now starting to be aligned with Western medicine as well, because it makes so much sense that the two of them should work together or as complementing each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything is energy flow, right?
Yes, yes.
And
beautiful.
We're here. I'm sorry, say that again.
I said that's beautiful. That's exactly how I look at it.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm using as well in my coaching and in my, coaching as an executive coach. I'm using the same methods. It's based in neuroscience, and since it's science, it's easier. It's not woo-woo. It's really not woo-woo. And if you have to come from a space of, okay, let's do acupuncture, which is now, people know about it more. They don't believe this is woo-woo if they get needles.
Right.
You can still influence their energetic body, which I think is amazing.
Well, nothing really needs to be said, even though I offer ample opportunity for people to share. Because first of all, a lot of times people have never had that opportunity where someone actually took time to let someone share what may be on their heart or on their mind. And for some people, that is a form of release. And so a treatment can start sometimes just with that. If someone maybe didn't even think about, because a lot of people don't connect low back pain with carrying too much in their lives, or with scarcity consciousness, or things of that nature. And so I just do my best to let it evolve organically, and we just go wherever we need to go, to the best of my ability.
Yes, I think that is beautiful, because that's in my opinion, the only way to work. So I was wondering, when you're saying, obviously you're saying you're empowering people, and I'm guessing empowerment, and energetic empowerment, or whatever kind of empowerment, releasing negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative emotions, will make their life better in all aspects.
Yes.
And it is my conviction, yes, you can say it's just a belief, but it's my absolute conviction that relationships are kind of the foundation of humanity. Without great relationships, you'd be nobody. There wouldn't be any humanity. So how does this feed into relationships?
So from my experience and my training and what I've just observed a lot in the treatment room, what's been confirmed for me over and over and over again, relationship must start with the self. And so a lot of people, depending on their experience, their emotional level of maturity, how much wounding they have in the past, there are a lot of people that can get sort of stuck at a particular time in life. So let's say that someone had a very intense emotional breakup with someone at age 16, and that was never really healed. Maybe it was just, stuck under the carpet. They just looked for somebody else to fill that void. And let's say it's 20 years later, that person may still be trying to fill the void of the wound that happened at age 16. If the self is not really considered of just prime importance, we often will tend to look at other people. If we're not really centered in our own power, we tend to behave like batteries. And so a lot of people will seek an energy source outside of themselves, very much like a battery, if the power is not running internally and connected the way that it needs to be. And so, because truly, you can't take two halves and make a whole. It really doesn't work that way. We tend to choose people based upon whatever level of wounding we're at. So if we have poverty consciousness, as an example, we will tend to energetically attract people to us that confirm that belief. And so now you have two people vibrating in poverty consciousness. And let's say they really want to work hard and they want to work together to create a better life and have more abundance. Well, a lot of times if they're not working on that wounding, then one person can just exacerbate the other. And so the wound gets deeper, and then they just become entrenched in that. So, you know, that can work for any kind of wound. We attract who we are.
We're talking about the law of attraction here, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
so
what's again, if I may just quickly say that, is totally, again, science. It is not BS or woo-woo or something. I mean, it is, the brain will go to where it's familiar. And because it's abhors change, it's scared of change. Now we're talking the brain like it's a person. Well, obviously, I'm talking about the two aspects, the brain being the organ, doing the best they can to have you survive, and then you, the personality, going in these different parts that you need to survive. And if you then see that you're justified in doing what you're doing, even if it's the wrong thing, you will keep doing it unless someone else can show you a way out.
Right. Well, our wounding serves us 100% of the time. If someone is stuck in wounding, it's serving that person. And sometimes serving means it's keeping them safe. Because, you know, there's a lot of truth to that saying, the devil you know is better than the one that you don't know, if you're in fear-based thinking. Because anything that's outside of that is unknown. And the brain does get conditioned to a cage. And one of the reasons I work so much with the breathing is that from a Chinese medicine perspective, it is a way to connect, ground, and center our energy. There's a reason why they call the rib cage a cage. If we don't feel safe enough to feel, or we just decide it's overwhelming and I can't feel anymore, or anyone that's in any type of PTSD situation, first thing that happens, the breath shuts down. And so energetically, from a Chinese medicine perspective, that's the most powerful descending force in the body that we have. And if the lung can't descend all the way and connect with the kidney, we don't really have any hope of having enough of our truly deep energy moving through us in a grounded, connected way that facilitates health and vibrancy. In essence, all of that energy tends to get stuck in the head. And so we overthink, we overplan, we worry, and the lung is the key to that. So no matter how we're perceiving our separation from oneness, it all basically boils down to this feeling of fear. Yeah. And even though that's an illusion, it's very real for people.
Oh yes, totally real. I mean, even if you imagine, it feels just as real. And that's, again, neuroscience. Oh yeah.
Yes. But if you connect the breath, then that bypasses the brain. And it can help open and relax and send messages to the body. It's really okay. It's really okay. It's safe. And so that's often why I start with that, just to help effect a change. And if someone, look, most of the people that I work with are not in a self-empowered state. And so if there are relationship troubles, or they're having issues with their family, I call it tribe, whoever is basically in your life. If you're having issues related to relationship, typically you're not in your own power. And there is an imbalance dynamic going on. Someone is behaving like a battery or an energy source, and somebody else is plugging into that. And that leads to a cycle of just drainage. and nobody feels good being plugged into. And ultimately, the person that's doing the plugging in knows that isn't real fulfillment either. So again, bringing it back to the breath, that's a way to just disconnect. If you're being plugged into, you can disconnect from whoever's plugging into you by reconnecting with your breath. And conversely, if you're someone that needs someone as a battery to empower you, you can actually start teaching on a very deep, fundamental level. I can power myself. And so to me, that's the place to start, and that's usually where I do start with people.
That is fantastic, because I've never really heard it pronounced that way, explained that way, that the lung is almost like you mentioned, empowering. How you can empower yourself is just by breathing. Would you say it's like this kind of universal energy you're pulling into that, or is inside the body itself, whatever you have within you, is that what you're empowering with your deep breathing? Like you mentioned, connecting to the kidney. I have never heard of that, put it that way. That sounds fascinating. And easy.
Well, so what's interesting from a Chinese medicine perspective, I know in my first week in acupuncture school, I heard one of the most profound statements that stayed with me from one of the instructors that I just absolutely admired. And she said at the beginning of this class, all imbalances, all issues, all disease basically boils down to an issue with boundaries. And so if you think about the lung serves as our initial boundary. What's out here and what's in here. So breath is how we initially take in energy. It's the first thing that happens when a baby's born. The lungs have to work. We have to start taking the external world in. And then what do we do with it, right? So if the lung is working at full capacity, then you're taking the external and you're using it appropriately. And connecting with the kidney, because truly, if that connection is not made, then we don't understand our full power. And we get used to walking around in a half-empowered state. Most people are just shallow breathers, and they get tired a lot. A lot of people will yawn frequently, or they need naps, or, chronic fatigue is really on the rise. And I feel a lot of this comes back to not understanding the true power of the lung. So, if we can create a situation where our lung works optimally, we don't get locked up in the rib cage. The kidney always has the power it needs to fuel everything, ground us, center us in our deepest essence. If all of that is working, then typically we live in a vibrant state. We have plenty of energy. We feel more relaxed. 100% of people that have anxiety, they're shallow breathers. 100%. So just by connecting, really, like it's so simple. But to me, that's one of the things I love about Chinese medicine. It is filled with simplicity that is profound. So most people can grasp that. It's like, we're just going to work on breathing, okay? So
I love it. I love it. Nothing better than being simple, right?
Simple is good. And for where I sit, simple is very good.
Yes. Tell me, is that something you experienced for yourself, like even with relationships or something? Is that something you were always interested in, or how did that happen that you became interested in acupuncture and the traditional Chinese medicine and breathing, energy work, and all that?
Oh, well, it's interesting because everything that I talk to people about, everything that's brought up in Hands Down is basically a culmination of, I have over 20 years of clinical experience at this point. So I have sat in sacred space with a lot of people at this point. But before any of that ever happened, my initial career was in the corporate world. And so I got a lot of experience just in what now people are coming to me from the corporate world. I get it. I understand. a lot of the stresses that they will have or the challenges. And so everything that I talk about, I can't think of a single thing that I talk about that I haven't had personal experience with.
Oh.
And I tend to be somebody that learns experientially. So I go through something and I do my best to learn from that. And I look at that and I say, well, okay, I feel like I learned that. Now can I help other people with that? And that really is how my writing has evolved. I'm a trained journalist. I used to work in advertising in the corporate world as a copywriter. And so I would use words to sell people things. But early on in my career, that just, I mean, literally within a couple of weeks of working in that capacity, I just knew my heart wasn't fulfilled by that. And so, you know, but I took that experience. For me, I felt like I needed to go through that so I can really develop an understanding of what so many people are caught in. And I've learned over the years that for me, once I found a career that really lit me up, so acupuncture lights me up. It's not something that I do as a career. Yes, I put needles in people. Yes, there are a lot of modalities that I use in the course of a treatment, but it's a lifestyle for me. I never realized until I went to acupuncture school, I'm just a Taoist at heart. I have always observed nature and taken my guidance from that. Acupuncture school for me gave me a lot of language to describe things I had always done inherently. So yes, and in terms of relationships, well, let's just say I have experienced a lot of imbalanced relationships where I've needed to learn, well, this isn't serving me. And why isn't it serving me? Because in essence, Chinese medicine looks for patterns. And so all of us have patterns. And if we have a pattern of relationships that don't work, whether it's a love relationship, whether it's just I can't get along with my family, or I just never seem to have any friends, or whatever it is, there's always a pattern to that. And so what I've done my best to do is look at what are my own patterns. You know, how have I been imbalanced? How have I looked to others in the past to fulfill me? Or if there's a void, or there's a sadness, or there's some kind of trauma. And, you know, I've been down those different roads. And what I have discovered is the more whole I have become, the more I just feel complete and vibrant and happy within myself. And so what does that do? That draws people to me that are more vibrant and happy and healthy. And so my network of people around me, I mean, you know, we laugh a lot. So, I've done my best to cultivate that. And, you know, that to me allows me to bring that into the treatment room at this point. I do a lot of couples counseling, or I have at various times in the past. A lot of times it's the woman coming in first, and then the man will come in, or if depending on, you know, whatever the relationship is. I've done, you know, mother-daughter, father-daughter, you know, any number of relationship questions have been presented to me, and we always talk about how whole is each person feeling within themselves, because that has to be the first thing.
When you're saying you did the couples counseling or relationship counseling, was it as a counselor, as a therapist, or within the acupuncture or something else practice?
Well, the beautiful thing about acupuncture is it gives me an umbrella term and an umbrella type of profession. So it allows me to counsel people. It allows me to talk about nutrition. It allows me to talk about herbal formulas. There are a lot, I mean, I'm trained in crystal and stone therapy, which is an ancient way of that the Taoists would approach healing and incorporating those tools. Essential oils, there are a lot of things that really fall nicely under the acupuncture umbrella. I think that, and again, acupuncture is a very old and deep and broad topic. There's no right or wrong, really, and everybody finds their own way to practice and to bring what's needed to patients. For me, I feel that I'm drawn to helping people not only with just their own empowerment, but if there's a relationship. Let's say a couple is contemplating divorce. Well, hey, why don't you come in for a treatment? We can work on this on any number of levels. Again, I don't have to get into the story. Sometimes that just happens organically. But it's just about if these two people have a joint intention that they want to make things better, that intention is magnified within the treatment room. The needles can bring an additional element to that. And then I use my intention to help support and create a safe space for this transformation and for this healing to take place. So that's kind of
beautiful.
I'm
very surprised, I mean, I don't think that anybody who is contemplating divorce but wants to turn the marriage around would first look at an acupuncturist to try to help them. But it totally makes sense, right?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we acupuncturists do involves doing our best to get the word out about what all this medicine can do. If someone has been really enthusiastic about getting treatments over the years and finds themselves in a difficult spot with marriage, as an example, it's not unusual for that person to say, come on, let's go see the acupuncturist, because they've seen in so many ways how having a tool like acupuncture or an acupuncturist that can hold this space and allow the tool of acupuncture to be even more effective. When somebody experiences that, they start to think differently about it. Oh, this isn't just something that I want to run to the spa and get acupuncture. It becomes, you know what, I think there's an issue going on. I've learned through treatment that means there's an imbalance. And so, you know what, before we go see the lawyer, let's go see the acupuncturist. And I really would encourage people to just open their minds a little bit and maybe just try something like that, because for most people, it's a pleasant experience.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, because, after so many years as a physician, as an OBGYN, and then as a Reiki master teacher, and now as a coach, I can always see, done also a lot of research in neuroscience. It makes so much sense, because yes, everything is connected. You cannot disconnect mind from body, especially because traumatic experiences get downloaded into the body a lot.
Yes.
Needles, metallic needles, it makes so much sense that, obviously they influence bioelectricity and everything.
Yes.
Was there something very special that happened to you, like a turning point or some real big aha moment where you said, this is it?
Well, I talk a little bit about that in Pants Down, where...
Yes, tell us more about Pants Down. That's how...
Well, so when I was in the corporate world, I developed low back pain. And someone that I worked with said, you know what, I got a lot of relief from my acupuncturist. And so that is truly what led me to see an acupuncturist in the first place. I found a lot of relief from acupuncture, and I said to myself, gosh, this would make a great second career. Because, the person that was performing the acupuncture, they're working in soft lights, there's soft music, the ambiance was just beautiful and very zen-like, and I thought, oh, this would be great. It took me a very long time to actually commit to that, because in those days, I was committed to, what I had trained for my corporate career. I had set myself on that path. I had moved to New York to make all of these things happen. And I, quite honestly, was a little committed to the money as well. And so the idea of school, another 4 or 5 years or whatever of school, at that time, it just felt a little overwhelming. And so it took me a while to go back. But, because I got so much relief personally from acupuncture, I never forgot it. And I think it just took me a while to really commit and decide. I looked at all of the schools that were in the area. I went to plenty of open houses. I just kept trying to imagine myself, okay, can I go and do my corporate job and then spend every evening in class and clinic, and will I have time to study and all of that? I got a little bit caught up in the fear aspect of it for a while. But, to me, when it's a calling, it just keeps knocking. And so it never went away. And after sitting with it for a while, I just reached the point in my life where I said, you know what, this is not going away. I feel like this is the next step in my personal evolution. And I think I can, maybe if I really embrace this, I can bring all of this together. And that's ultimately what happened, and it's one of the reasons why I've been so grateful for this opportunity to write, because Hands Down is a nonfiction book that in essence is like a manual of a lot of the best tips and tools that I've learned through my clinical experience. And people can read that, and hopefully one of the things that I hope it does is dispel the fear of going deep. The lower body chakras, even in traditional studies about that, there's actually not a lot published in English about these lower body chakras. But what is published and what is available, all of the legends talk about them way out of balance. And so I share a lot of the legends, all of the deep fears. We're talking about the hell realms, all of these chakras basically from the waist down. That's why the book is called Hands Down. It's from
That's what I was wondering. Why pants down? So now you're naked from the waist down. Why?
Yeah. We also call it the trousers to toes. Yes.
That's
and this is the area that gets messy for a lot of people.
Yes. And right? It has been taboo over here in the West forever, right?
Yes. Yes. In the West, it's been taboo. And, in essence, we have a lot of family issues. We have sexuality issues. We have poverty issues. We have a lot of anger issues. All of these things, our deepest fears are really often stored from the waist down in the body. And so I find, we don't have to get into somebody's story, but as a practitioner, if I can needle certain places, or I can teach somebody, you know what, you can use a foam roller on your calf and you can work out a lot of these deep issues by incorporating that with your breathing, so that people can start understanding there's really nothing to fear. It's just about reclaiming power that we've shut off because we went into fear mode. And so that's what I want people to understand. Hands Down is really about making it safe, making it feel accessible, and helping somebody to start looking at life with the glass half full. Because you can look at any kind of imbalance. You can say, well, somebody that's in poverty consciousness, well, they're afraid that there's not enough. There's never enough. But when that becomes balance, then these people, once they understand that there's enough, they can literally become like the legend of Scrooge, like once he understood, once that poverty of spirit was replenished, he was one of the most giving people out there. And so that's what I want people to see. It's not, do I talk about the hell realms and the really imbalanced states that these various chakras can exhibit? Yes, just because I want people to get, if they wish, a look at this is what legend talks about, and how as people we often have this habit of let's focus on the negative, but any negative can have a positive if you choose to look at it in that way. And so with each of the chakras, as we go lower in the body all the way down to the feet and Hands Down, I'm talking about, okay, this is the negative view, but here's how we can spin it in a positive way. And so I include affirmations for people as an example so that they can work with that energy and feel safe and really change the way that they're thinking about things. So that's really how Hands Down came about. It's an instruction manual for self-empowerment, for understanding that power doesn't have to be fear-based, and that reclaiming power just makes us feel vibrant. And once we do that, we can hold a mirror for somebody else. And that's really what I want to do. I don't want people to be dependent on me, but I want to light somebody else's fire and then let that person's torch light somebody else, and so on.
Yes.
Right? So that's really what I intend to do. So
if I understood you correctly, Hands Down is, yes, it gives you the background, but you're saying it's an instruction manual. There's practical exercises people can do.
Oh, absolutely.
Themselves.
Absolutely.
So, and how can they get this book?
Well, probably the best way of getting this book is going on the Absolute Love Publishing website and just clicking on Pants Down. And there are all of the links. You know, someone can buy it through Absolute Love Publishing, or there are links to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever one's favorite outlet is. And it's a Kindle only version. There's not a paperback version. So you can download it to your phone as an example.
You could download it from Amazon as well, or you would find it when you Google it under your name. Or what was the other website? You have to maybe say that more slowly, quickly.
So absolutelovepublishing.com.
Absolutelovepublishing.com, where they could find out where to get the book. If they want to get it from Amazon, they can get it there too.
Exactly, because if you go to the publisher's website, all of the links are provided right there.
Okay.
All you have to do is click on Pants Down, and it will bring you to a page where you can then, if you want to order it from Amazon, you just click on the Amazon link, or Barnes & Noble.
Under your name, Jean Brannon, right?
Jean Brannon, yes.
You could have an older plume, you never know.
Yes, exactly.
Now, you mentioned another book that you said you had written before that, I believe, Atlantis Rising.
Yes.
Rising.
Writhing as in W. Yes.
Writhing.
Yes, you got the motion down.
With
yes.
Relationships. What is that about?
So that is a fiction book, and it's set in the ancient land of Atlantis. But in essence, it's a love story. So it really ties in with this conversation about relationships and becoming balanced within in order to have a magnificent relationship with someone else. And so while working on the idea for Atlantis Rising, what I wanted to do was embody the essence of an ideal relationship. And so while I was writing this book, I really wanted to be as pure a vessel as possible for this information to just come to me. So it took me 7 months to write the initial draft. And during that time, I didn't watch any television. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't go to a movie. I didn't read any other books, because I wanted to just sit with these questions and allow as pure a voice as possible to come through, because I really wanted people to have hope for learning how to be whole within the self, and how literally by learning to be whole within, whole, grounded, and centered in a matrix of hope infused with love, that basically any imbalance can be balanced. Any perceived evil, because there is an evil aspect to this story of, we've got good versus evil, and we have the heroes and the heroines working to, how can they keep Atlantis from falling? And so in essence, a lot of that journey is through the self, and how each of the archetypal warriors that are in this book, how can they become more grounded and centered within the self to hold that space of love within a matrix of hope that literally can change the world. And then a love story is woven within that, that shows what I've done my best to create: two people who are whole and centered and balanced within themselves. You know, I find we typically don't have a lot of role models. What does a healthy relationship, right? I mean, what does a healthy relationship look like? What does love look like between two self-empowered people? And so that is a key theme. And it's not that things are perfect. What I also wanted to show was, well, you know what? It's not always going to be 100% perfect, but how do basically balanced people work through these things? How can one really strong partner hold a mirror for the other and allow for that evolution?
I know now from personal experience that it is possible and what to do it, you know, and you say it's not perfect. You know what? It's damn near perfect.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you
Yes.
can't argue, and it's always in a constructive way. It's not destructive or confrontational anymore. So this is, I think, extremely important. And
Absolutely.
to wrap up soon, Jean, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to ask you, the secret to a healthy relationship. I know you mentioned right now that you said it's about sensing yourself, being empowered and whole by yourself.
Yes.
So the other person can mirror that, and you can empower the other person, even if it's one that's just starting it.
Yes.
Then you mentioned something else which I found interesting, is not listening to the mind and heart.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate on that a tiny bit?
So from an energetic perspective, the heart and the mind can lie to us. We can often buy into a preconceived notion. The mind can start going down a particular road and is often very susceptible to past conditioning. The heart is often very just innocent and open and wants to trust, but it's often in cahoots with the mind. And if the mind is really committed to this journey of what has happened before that didn't work out, then the heart magnifies that. What my experience, and this came about truly from working with horses. Horses are 1,000-pound Tai Chi masters, and they have been my greatest teachers above any human that I've ever studied with.
Wow, something new emerging again. Second interview.
Well, we can definitely pick that up, but you know, in essence, it's the gut that does not lie. And we've really, if the lung is not coming down and connecting with the kidney, the gut, which is where our power center lies, we don't have anything connected there. And so it's much easier to buy into any kind of illusion. But truly, the gut always knows truth. Horses demonstrate that day in and day out. And I feel in a relationship, that's the number one thing. Always run things by your gut.
And how do people do that? How would I run things by my gut?
Well, sometimes it takes practice if you're not used to it, because that's where our inner knowing comes about. Knowing actually surpasses even intuition. A knowing is just 100%, I just know this to be true. So what I encourage people to do is to start asking. You have to start engaging that part of yourself. So if you're in the grocery store and you're trying to decide between celery and broccoli, ask your gut. You know, because some people will get into this, well, no, I could do this with the celery, I could do this, you know. But if you just ask the gut, what you want is an immediate yes or a no. Look at the celery. Do we want celery? If it's no, honor it. And that's the second part of it.
I'm sorry that I'm laughing, because I will probably always go for the chocolate.
Well, there you go. But do you want dark chocolate? Do you want milk chocolate?
Yes, dark.
Right? Ask
Celery or broccoli. How would you do that, right? I mean, I don't know what overpowers me. It's definitely not my gut saying I want more and more chocolate. Or they'll get.
Yeah, well, so what's interesting, if that's the story that's coming up, it's usually an imbalance between the mind and the heart that's needing to be medicated. Because if you have an imbalance or a discrepancy between the mind and the heart, that's where all addiction comes from. And so if we're looking to medicate with chocolate, as opposed to just enjoying a piece of chocolate, okay, there's a difference. If you really need the chocolate and you're obsessing over, I can't wait to eat this whole bar, or maybe I bought 2 bars or whatever, then that's being used as a medicine, because sugar is 8 times as addictive as cocaine, but it's legal. And so if the body is telling us we really, really, really need the chocolate, that's part of the lie. That's part of the mind needing to be medicated from whatever pain. Truly, if someone is more centered and grounded within their empowered self, the gut will basically say, if it's between, broccoli and Brussels sprouts, then you will get a very, very clear answer, broccoli. And you can also hold the focus, as opposed to always being obsessed with thinking about the chocolate. Because if you're obsessively thinking about the chocolate, you have no interest in any of these vegetables, right? You can't wait to get to your fix. So that, to me, is just more information that somebody is really in an imbalanced state. So let's practice. Maybe food isn't the right question. It can be anything. Do I want to wear yellow today or blue? Do I want to wear polka dots or stripes? And it doesn't have to be logical. You may never want to wear stripes, but if you give the gut an opportunity to speak and it says stripes, then I encourage wear the stripes. It might be really fun. Your body may be seeking something a little outside the norm. And when you go outside the box, that helps with thinking outside the box. And that's where change usually comes about. So,
yes, I just have to tell you that may, you don't know this about me, but I'm actually using body wisdom.
Oh, okay.
Technique to find out, where something might come from, and some issues, bodily issues, actually have a message, and I found that extremely interesting.
Look at how all of this ties together, isn't it? Just
of course it does. Because it makes sense and it's logical, it's science behind it, and in the end we all will know about it, hopefully. And you're doing your part with not only the practice but also with writing books, so getting out there. And you're saying you're working on a new one right now, and I think that's a nice way to wrap this up. What is that next installment of your book?
Well, so I have sequels for Atlantis Rising as well as the next chakra book. And the chakra book will come out next, and that's going to be dealing more, we're going to be coming above the trousers. And so we're going to be dealing more with the hands to the heart. So,
the idea for the title, instead of pants down, is it now bra off?
Maybe we'll use that. I'll give you credit. That could work. That could work.
Jean, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on today for the Divas That Care, and everybody else who will listen to this or see this. I wish you all the best with the books, and I know that people should really go after those. And now I'm really intrigued. I want to go check out Pants Down.
Thank you so much.
For myself, because I think it's important that we know what to do for ourselves and be empowered to live happier life and make everybody around us happier as well.
I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I've just enjoyed this immensely. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, it is my great pleasure. And I know we could be talking for hours the way it looks like. I could never stop talking to you and listening to you. You're a very eloquent speaker, and I would love to have you on again. So
I would love that. Oh, I would love that. Thank you.
We'll have to make it a future date. Maybe.
Okay, let's do it.
Roz, off the book.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jean. Well, it has been a pleasure. So thank you, everybody, for listening. You've been listening to the Divas That Care Network and Dr. Irena Kyd, your relationship success mentor, executive and relationship coach. Thank you so much. And I'll hear from you. You hear me from next time. Ciao.